Tonight, it's not over.
Say her name.
Protests in the wake of another police shooting as Congress works towards a police reform bill with a focus on dealing with mental health crises.
Few officers are equipped to navigate.
And Republicans respond to a push by Democrats to pack the Supreme Court. And
the bill is passed.
Democrats vote to make the nation's capital the 51st state. Republicans call that unconstitutional.
It was never created or should be a state.
Plus,
if it were easy, it would have been solved a long time ago.
The vice president's meeting over the humanitarian crisis at the southern border. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Statehood for the nation's capital, one step closer to becoming reality. Welcome to Faith Nation. I'm John Jessup.
And I'm Jenna Browder. Thank you for joining us. Well, House Resolution 51 now on its way to the Senate after it passed the House today on a party line vote.
On this vote, the yeas are 216, the nays are 208. The bill is passed.
And this is the second time the measure has passed the House. Last year, it stalled in the Senate. H.R. 51 would add 2 seats to the Senate that would most likely go to Democrats. Democrats say it's all about giving representation to 700,000 residents who live in Washington, D.C.
The truth is, there is no good faith argument for disenfranchising over 700,000 people, most of whom are people of color. These desperate objections are about fear.
Well, Democrats described the bill, which passed 216 to 208, as pivotal to their voting rights platform and a way to restore equal citizenship. Republicans countered, calling the D.C. Admission Act an unconstitutional power grab. CBN's David Brody spoke with the top House Republican California Congressman Kevin McCarthy about the bill.
D.C. statehood, House Democrats are going to go through with this. What's your main objection on this? Is it because it's unconstitutional, or obviously it's politically problematic?
It's unconstitutional. It's no different than packing the Supreme Court. The only reason the Democrats are doing it is trying to get more electoral votes and more senators. And why they're doing it when they are, because they know they're going to lose the majority. It was never created or should be a state. If there's anything it should do, it should go back to Maryland from that standpoint, if they want to be within a state. But it's unconstitutional. But Democrats really don't care about the Constitution much anymore because they think they can pack the Supreme Court to have a new determination of what the Constitution says.
The drive to make D.C. a state now heads to the Senate, but not all Democrats there are on board. Because of the 60-vote filibuster threshold, H.R. 51 is expected to stall once again.
Yeah, that filibuster, hugely important, and we'll talk to David more about that here in just a little bit. In the meantime, though, in another move that would likely lock up power, Democrats on Capitol Hill are pushing to expand the Supreme Court. But again, they don't appear to have the support they need to make that happen.
For their part, Republicans are warning of the long-term effects packing the court would have on our country and urging their colleagues to reject it. For the latest, we now go to CBN Capitol Hill correspondent Abigail Robertson. Abigail, Republicans are using the past to persuade supporters of court packing today.
That's right, John. Many Republican lawmakers are arguing that when they were in the majority and under pressure to pack the Supreme Court, they said no, and they're urging their Democratic colleagues to do the same.
Mr. President, there's some real big assaults on democracy and democratic institutions occurring on your watch and your AWOL.
At a press conference Thursday, GOP senators questioned President Joe Biden's decision to form a commission to look into expanding the high court.
You said it was a bonehead idea for FDR to try to pack the court. You're sitting on the sidelines while you're president, forming a commission that may actually do that.
The 36-member commission will also look into things such as term limits and mandatory retirement ages.
I think we know what the commission's going to say. It's going to say we need to go as fast forward toward getting more Democrat appointees on the courts as possible.
Carrie Severino from the Judicial Crisis Network believes the findings of the 180-day study are a foregone conclusion.
This would be such a radical move and trigger such dangerous political tit for tats that even people like Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself, like Justice Breyer, like Bernie Sanders, of all people, have acknowledged court packing would trigger a very dangerous one-way ratchet of making the court bigger and bigger each time power changed in Washington.
While Democrats in favor of court packing argue this.
The Republicans stole 2 seats on the Supreme Court, and now it is up to us to repair that damage. Our democracy is in jeopardy.
Republican Senator Ted Cruz criticized Biden for running on unity, but pushing a polarizing agenda.
It's the crazies who are running the ship. And so I'd like to see the Joe Biden we served with escape from the basement and come out and say, all right, we're not going to break the system, we're not going to cheat, and we're not going to destroy the Supreme Court of the United States.
Well, similar to the D.C. statehood bill you just discussed, this bill is pretty much dead in the water as long as the Senate filibuster remains intact. And even if they do remove the Senate filibuster, allowing most bills to pass the Senate with just a simple majority, it's still not clear that they have the Democratic support needed to pass this bill through both the House and Senate. John, Jenna?
All right, thank you, Abby. Also on Capitol Hill today, policing and how to respond to mental health crisis calls.
Today's Senate hearing comes amid growing outrage over another deadly police shooting, this time a 16-year-old girl. CBN News national security correspondent Caitlin Burke has more.
That 16-year-old's name was Micaiah Bryant. She was killed Tuesday by a police officer responding to 911 calls about an attempted stabbing.
These grown girls over here trying to fight us, trying to stab us, trying to put her hands on our grandma. Get here now. We need a police officer here now.
Columbus police released body camera video.
Hey! Get down! Get down! Get down! Get down! Wake up, ma'am. Come on, stay with us. Stay with us.
An independent investigation is now underway, in part to determine whether deadly force was justified.
Regardless of the circumstances associated with this, a 16-year-old girl lost her life.
As Micaiah's family mourns her death, in Minneapolis, the city turns its attention from the Derek Chauvin guilty verdict to burying Dante Wright, a 20-year-old shot and killed during a traffic stop by a police officer who says she meant to use her taser. The U.S. Attorney General announced a sweeping investigation into the Minneapolis Police Department.
The investigation I am announcing today will assess whether the Minneapolis Police Department engages in a pattern or practice of using excessive force, including during protests.
Meanwhile, Congress is considering police reform on a national scale. The Senate Judiciary Committee hearing testimony specifically about how best to respond to those in the middle of a mental health crisis. Witnesses agreeing that ultimately there needs to be coordination between law enforcement and behavioral health professionals.
These calls can be time-consuming, which is often at odds with the demands of the 911 system and the expectations communities have for timely police response to crime and disorder.
And when mobile response programs engage a person, they then can divert a person from more restrictive settings, like law enforcement or emergency departments. They can divert people to linkages with outpatient services and things like that.
President Biden is pressing Congress to pass police reform legislation. The George Floyd Justice and Policing Act passed the House in March. It has not yet received a vote in the Senate. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
All right, thank you, Caitlin. To the battle against COVID-19. It is a race between the virus and the vaccine, now topping 200 million shots here in the United States. But the CDC is predicting nearly 600,000 coronavirus deaths by this spring. In response, the Biden administration is pressing the need for people to get vaccinated.
The time is now to open up a new phase of this historic vaccination effort. To put it simply, if you've been waiting for your turn, wait no longer. Now is the time for everyone over 16 years of age to get vaccinated.
The president went on to say that a vaccine might not only save your own life, but the lives of others around you.
At the southern border and the crisis that continues to unfold, Arizona's governor is now deploying National Guard there and has declared a state of emergency in multiple counties.
That's right. Governor Doug Ducey is also calling on President Biden to declare this a national emergency. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris met with some of the largest charitable groups in the country today for ways to stem the tide of migrants. CBN senior national affairs correspondent Heather Sells is following the developments and has more. Heather?
John, the Biden administration is still scrambling to manage growing numbers of children that are crossing the border alone. The number of unaccompanied children at the border hit a historic high of 18,000 last month. As of last week, more than 22,000 migrant children were in U.S. government custody. The Biden administration is highlighting the work of the vice president. Her focus addressed the root causes, the reasons that children and adults flee in the first place.
We have to give people a sense of hope that help is on the way.
Ministries on the border are helping to meet the needs of immigrants right when they cross, from Brownsville, Texas to El Paso.
We want to make sure that immediately they contact their families so that they can make those travel arrangements. In the meantime, they will get a chance to eat, to take a shower, change clothing.
Many faith groups also see the need to focus on the forces behind the surge.
This isn't just about this instance on the border. It's part of a bigger picture. What's driving people? Why are people in so much desperation that they're willing to have their kids cross alone?
And Heather, you were on a press call this afternoon where the Biden administration praised the work of some of these faith groups on the border. What did they say?
Yeah, it was really significant, Jenna. Andrea Flores is the director for Trans-Border Security for the National Security Council, and she made a specific point to discuss the work of faith groups in processing asylum seekers. The Biden administration in the last 2 months has processed 8,000 people who were waiting on the Mexico side to cross over. And she said that faith groups in Brownsville and in El Paso have really made a difference. And when I asked her to expand a little bit more on her comments, she said that, quote, they have provided critical wraparound services that have really made a difference, Jenna. So, of course, CBN has reported on the role of faith groups at the border, but I thought it was significant that the Biden administration was making a point to really praise the partnership.
Yeah, it's nice to see. All right, Heather Sells, good to see you as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Heather. Coming up, more on the GOP attempt to censure a fellow member of Congress over controversial remarks to protesters. More after this.
Introducing the CBN Bible from cbn.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.
This is CBN Newswatch. Thanks for joining us. Watch breaking news, exclusive stories and programs, credible news reporting.
We show you what's happening in the world and how you can pray about it.
This is CBN Newswatch, because truth matters. Weekdays at 5 on the CBN News Channel.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh, no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
The Millsburg Falls man coming.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes, too. And so much more! Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon! It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Republicans on Capitol Hill are slamming Congresswoman Maxine Waters for her words in the days leading up to the jury's verdict in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Waters telling protesters in Minneapolis to, quote, get more confrontational depending on the verdict. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy introduced a resolution to censure Waters, but without support from Democrats, it fell short. He spoke with CBN's David Brody.
What message is this sending, do you believe, to Americans, the fact that this failed?
Well, you know, the Democrats had an ability to condemn those type of actions. And it wasn't political. I only put in exactly what the judge said, but instead they condoned it. So that hurts the House of Representatives. It hurts what I believe George Floyd's family, and it hurts the idea for violence. I mean, what Maxine Waters did, she believed there was value in violence, and that's just not the case. The justice system let it work. It proved it worked right and well, and now she's put it in jeopardy.
And David joins us now. David, great interview with Kevin McCarthy. You know, the judge in this case says Maxine Waters' comments could lead to an appeal. And even though Democrats didn't vote to censure her, I'm guessing there is a lot of frustration among some of them.
Well, there's definitely frustration. At the same time, Democrats are just going to turn this on Republicans and say, hey, you're all in a tizzy about Maxine Waters. Why weren't you in a tizzy about Donald Trump? And of course, the Republicans' response will be, well, because he didn't say get more confrontational. He said march peacefully to the Capitol. Look, I don't want to rehash January 6th. We've been there, done that. But as for Maxine Waters, we'll see what happens. She's kind of off the hook now, if you think about it. The censure resolution went down. Derek Chauvin's been found guilty. There were no riots in the streets. However, the appeal process now goes on. We'll see what happens if for some reason this appeal is over, or his conviction's overturned. My goodness, then we'll see what happens to Maxine Waters.
For her part, David, Congresswoman Waters told the Griot she is nonviolent and that she was talking about confronting the justice system and policing. Democrats seemed to buy it. No one supported censure. Could this come back to hurt them in the 2022 midterms?
Possibly. I think it's an isolated incident for now. We'll see what happens. I think the BLM movement and the rioting and, Governor DeSantis's anti-rioting bill, I mean, that's going to be more of a theme. I don't think Maxine Waters' comments alone will necessarily hurt Democrats in 2022.
David, the issue of D.C. statehood is expected to fail in the Senate. The same thing expected with the expansion of the Supreme Court. If Democrats know these issues won't pass both chambers, David, why do they continue to push them? And what is the political calculation here?
Well, the political calculation is that as long as you inch it down the field, keep introducing these bills. Remember, let's take a step back. What you do in Congress is you introduce bills. Even Republicans are introducing bills knowing they have no shot at getting passed. But if you put it out there, then you can start to build momentum for it in the future. Well, that's what's happening here, except we're now at the next level. The D.C. statehood bill has actually passed the House. That forces the Senate to kind of figure out what they're going to do with it at this point. So basically, that's the political calculation, to be able to get it out there, get people talking about it, and then to try and drum up more support than it currently has. But the problem for Democrats on D.C. statehood is that even if they wanted to get rid of the legislative filibuster and only go for 50 votes, they don't even have 50 Democrats that will support it right now. They've got 2 or 3 that at least won't.
David, speaking of the number game, Democrats claim a mandate because they won the Senate, they kept the House, and they won the White House. Do you think Democrats are, in a way, overplaying their hand in about 30 seconds?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the big concern. Yes, I think, if you total it all up, and we've talked about it all here on Faith Nation, but the Equality Act and H.R. 1 and goodness gracious, I'm forgetting all the other stuff. But gun control laws, I can just go down the line, hacking the Supreme Court, now this. Sure. If you add it all up together, this is why Kevin McCarthy told me in that same interview that on a scale of 1 to 10, he says 10 when it comes to taking back the House in 2022. He believes it's a done deal. And the political prognosticators I talked to agree with him.
Yeah, well, 2022 will be here before we know it. That's for sure. All right, David, thank you.
Thanks, David.
Yep.
And still ahead, the backlash over the Biden administration's decision over human fetal tissue for the sake of medical research.
When I came to Regent University, it's like the world opened up. I felt like I needed to advance my career and go back to school. Regent was a perfect fit for me. The Regent professors are world class. You are equipped. The focus of the faculty is on each individual student, whether it's online or in person. You become a part of Regent's family. You carry with you not just the content and the knowledge, but the confidence to understand that we can be significant in the world.
Regent University. Follow your path.
Nigerian Christians
in Iran are routinely arrested.
Catholic Christians continue to suffer.
In times of trial and affliction, you need to know the truth.
One of the fastest growing Christian populations in the world.
Join Wendy Griffith and George Thomas for Christian World News.
Young people are the ones who are open to the gospel.
Powerful stories of suffering and hope that affect all Christians. Saturday night at 6 on the CBN News Channel. Get Protect Your Sleep and discover how to improve the quality of your life. A free DVD or booklet from the Christian Broadcasting Network.
If you're not a great sleeper, you can do things to make yourself a great sleeper. If you're already a pretty good sleeper, you can enhance your sleep and be even better.
5 leading experts help remove the obstacles between you and restorative sleep.
When you don't get a restful night's sleep, you wake up with an accumulation of stress.
Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet today.
Everything you do better with a good night's sleep.
You'll discover how food affects your sleep, how to put insomnia to rest, explore effective remedies for sleep apnea, and much more in Protect Your Sleep. Wake up to your best life and get Protect Your Sleep today. Call 1-800-700-7000 or go to cbn.com to get your free DVD or booklet.
Well, both praise and backlash over a decision from the Biden administration to allow human fetal tissue for medical research. The Department of Health and Human Services is reversing a Trump-era policy banning the use of tissue from elective abortions. The National Right to Life Committee called that decision sickening. In a statement, Family Research Counsel Tony Perkins wrote that the decision means taxpayer dollars will be used for what he describes as barbaric experiments.
Here with us now for more is Melanie Israel, Research Associate at the Heritage Foundation. Melanie, welcome. Thank you for being with us this evening. So the decision essentially returns Obama-era guidelines. Melanie, why now?
You know, this decision was not surprising. It was definitely disappointing, though. This is one of those policies that you can really see coming from a mile away from the Biden administration. We know that many researchers who have traditionally relied on fetal tissue for their research have been itching to have access to it again. They've been demanding to have it back ever since the Trump administration correctly tried to divert resources towards ethical research. And so it was a very unfortunate decision from the Biden administration, but again, not really all that surprising. They are taking orders from the abortion industry.
Melanie, good evening, and thanks for being here again. While conservatives and supporters of pro-life policies oppose the move, some scientists say the research it allows has helped to develop vaccines and treatments like for diseases like Parkinson's or HIV. I want to get your thoughts here.
I think we need to take a step back here. While fetal tissue research is nothing new and it's been around for a very long time, it's very misleading to say that fetal tissue is the reason that we have things like the polio vaccine, because that's not true. In fact, and it is those ethically derived sources like discarded surgical tissue, adult stem cells, those are what is actually contributing to successful treatments for a wide variety of conditions and ailments, not tissue obtained from elective abortions. And so we don't have to choose between one or the other. We can have good science, we can have rigorous research, but we can do it in an ethical way.
Melanie, along those same lines, the FDA will now allow abortion pills to be shipped through the mail during the pandemic for public safety. The move reversing a Trump administration policy backed up by the Supreme Court. Do you believe the Biden White House will try to extend this policy once we get past the pandemic? And it seems like we're getting pretty close.
Right. I think this is an example of the abortion lobby finding a crisis and not letting it go to waste. This is really meant to try to lay the groundwork so that they can do away once and for all with that requirement that these dangerous pills be dispensed in person. That's been one of the many restrictions on dangerous abortion pills for over 20 years, the entire time these pills have been approved on the U.S. market. And the abortion lobby ultimately wants abortion pills to be available over the counter anywhere for anyone to be able to have access to at any time. And so this excuse to make abortion pills available through telemedicine, abortion pills by mail, it's really just one step as part of a larger process to do away with all of the current restrictions.
All right, Melanie, we have to leave it there, but thank you so much. Melanie Israel with the Heritage Foundation. Have a great evening.
And we'll be back right after the break.
Christians around the world are standing with the Israelis. But why? In CBN's free magazine, Friends of Israel, you'll discover why Christians are supporting the Jewish state, how Israel is fulfilling prophecy as a light to the nations, and ways you can pray for the people of Israel. Israel needs the support of friends like you. Call now or go to cbn.com to get your free copy of Friends of Israel.
Heavenly Father, we do thank you for the work of your Spirit, Lord God, with this movement of getting the Bible,
yes,
Lord, into public schools.
Watch The Prayer Link. Tuesday morning at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Finally tonight, it is Earth Day, and in celebration, people across the globe are doing things like planting trees and picking up trash.
That's right. Christian environmentalist and founder of Blessed Earth, Matthew Sleeth, explains what he believes it means for Christians to be good stewards of the planet.
Well, this Earth Day, I think people should remember that the Bible declares that the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, and we probably ought to be doing CPR. C is for clean up when you see trash on your father's planet. P is for plant trees like Abraham did, and R is for recycle. God didn't throw you out when he found you in sin. He recycled you into something new.
His message coming 51 years after the first Earth Day back in 1970, an event celebrated in more than 193 countries across the globe. And happy Earth Day, Jenna.
Yeah, I like that acronym, CPR.
Good one. Easy to remember.
Yeah. All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us this Thursday.
We hope to see you back again tomorrow. Good night.